Welcome everyone to the 401k coming out of blackout party. Glad you all are here. I'll keep it short and sweet and let you guys get to the meat and potatoes. Just a couple things. One is we're going to go through a lot of important information today. There are going to be key pages in the booklet here, so if you haven't grabbed the booklet, please do. We'll have some more up there. We're going to have it online. You'll be able to access it 16 different ways, but make sure you got a copy that you can refer to. Secondly, I just want to reemphasize a couple things about our 401k. The family has taken a very distinct decision to remain highly competitive with what we offer, and I'll tell you what that is, and that's the immediate match. The immediate match. I've been in this game for 30 years in human resources. I have been the sponsor on a lot of 401ks. I have never seen a full immediate match. Never seen it. It always takes 2 years, 3 years, 5 years for you to get all of the company's contribution. Here, you get it all every pay period. It's a massive difference. And that is a distinct decision the family took again this year, because every year we go through the 401k plan and we look at everything that changed. And they were not going to change. So there's just really great news about this business, this senior management team, and the decision they took. And it does set us apart, as well as the free health care. There's two big differences in us versus the competition, so I just want to put that out there. Secondly, we've just come out of blackout, and what that means is we have changed the organizations that, well, one organization that really supports us. We have two here. Higginbotham's been with us for the full ride, and Jared will introduce himself. Voya's new. So when you go through this book, you're actually going to be going through the information with Mario on where your money is, how you access your money through some really cool portals that have been built, and if you aren't in the plan, how to get in it and take a look at it and grab that money that you've been leaving sitting on the table. So very important meeting, something I take very, very seriously as being the plan sponsor, as being a good guardian of your money. So know that we take this very seriously. I think you're going to love the Prezzo. We had a great one this morning, really important stuff. All kinds of ways for you to catch up after the meeting, whether it's through HR, through the 1-800 number, through these guys. So just know that we got you, all right? And hope you enjoy it. Okay.
Jared? Sure. My name is Jared Winkham-Fleck. I am the advisor on the 401k plan, consulting on the plan. And so my role is to really help the trustees of the plan select the mutual funds that are in the lineup and available for you guys to choose from. I also help make sure the plan stays compliant, follows all the rules and regs. But most importantly, it's to help the participants, which is you all, to be on a successful track to retirement. So if you have any questions that Voya cannot answer, HR services cannot answer, and you just need some help about retirement questions, that's what I'm here for. So feel free to leverage me and ask questions, and I'm willing to help however I can. So thank you.
Hey, thank you, Chair. Hi, I'm Mario Iniguez. If you speak Spanish, si hablo español, yo soy Mario Iniguez. Anybody speak Spanish here? Sí. All right, I'm going to take you up on that. So I'm actually a client relations manager. I work for Voya, so I'm just up the street in Cedar Park. So it's a pleasure to be out here today, and also welcome you guys into our family book of business. And I know we got some people on remotely, and where are they? Where are they located?
There's some that are probably in the Austin office in Marble Falls.
Cool, great. So we got some friends. I heard some people. They sound like they're in a cave somewhere. So maybe they're like in Canada, like, yeah. Cool. For joining us. We can start nice meat, potatoes, jam-packed agenda. We only want to make sure if we're going to be talking about it, it's going to be important to you. It's going to help your journey to reach your retirement goals. We were just talking about a little bit before we got started. Can you make me the presenter? We were talking about this, of all your benefits, this is the one benefit that's going to help to pay for all your other benefits in retirement. Think about that. But the first time I thought about that, part of my brain just kind of exploded. I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. So like health, dental, and maybe vision. And this 401k nest egg is really important. So how do we do that? It often can be very overwhelming because there's a lot of pieces to the retirement journey that often turn people off. Like, okay, I got to contribute, but how much should I contribute? And then I got to pick an investment or investments. And then there's some maintenance along the way. And they're like, oh, man, I just got through the work week. I got to think about this other stuff too. So I totally get it. I totally get it. I mean, you're probably not like me. I wake up like 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I'm rebalancing my funds. I'm like, okay, that kind of reached a threshold. So I don't expect you to kind of feel like the same kind of like pull that I have, since I live in this soup all the time. But what I hope that you can glean from today is some of like the best practices in conventional wisdom. So when you are going to tackle it, how can you best use your time? That's really important. So today what we're going to do is we'll give a first show of hands. Who has a 401k account? Okay, so those who don't, we got something for everybody. So those who already have one, we'll talk about that. Those of you that haven't enrolled yet, we'll cover that as well. We want to make sure you're able to know how to get enrolled, what's important to you, give you the big, broad, sweeping strokes of the plan. We'll call those plan highlights. I see some of you have already opened these books, these lovely books in front of you from Voya. That's actually the new enhanced enrollment kit. So if you're looking at that book, that's something that just rolled off our printing press no less than probably about 3 months ago. And we're going to cover the most important pages out of there to help you with it. Unless you just want to tear it from cover to cover. I get it. You just want to read into this thing. We'll cover the participant website and the enrollment website. We'll demo what those look like. We'll make sure you're familiar with them. You are going to touch on how do you get on, how do you sign on and register. If you get locked out, how do you get back onto it? And so this is pretty informal. So as you have questions along this journey, the next hour plus, feel free to stop us. We'll pause periodically to make sure we're taking your questions on as well. First piece of news that just to reiterate was those who raised their hand and have an account, you're able to see your account now, and we'll talk about what that process has underway as well. So I'm going to first talk a little about the book. We will not cover every page. I promise you we will not do that painstakingly, but we are going to cover a few of the pages that are most important. I'm actually going to cover, didn't write it down, but if you go to page 21, those who are in the room, we're going to go to 22. It's actually, you know what, it's not, for those who are following the webcast, the PDF does not have this page, as we found out earlier. So just bear with me with that. Do they have hard copies where they are, Rachel?
I don't believe they do.
Okay.
Well, they have 50%, though.
Okay, we just not have
that
it.
to the calendar.
Okay. So for those who are listening online, to the phone rather, to the conference call, the page I'm first going to reference is the only page you do not have in that PDF. So basically what we're going to be talking about is the mapping. For those who already have an account, you're probably wondering, hey, what am I invested in now? That's a good question. Well, on the far left column, we'll show you what you were invested in. And then when it came over to Voya, what you're now invested in. We call this mapping or like-to-like or fund mapping. And basically, it stays in the same risk or in the same type of fund. So let's give an example. If you were invested in an FA small cap fund, that's at the bottom there, you follow your finger to the right there, you're now in a DFA US small cap portfolio fund. So you're in the same category of risk, same type of fund. And so DFA is actually a local fund company just down the road. So if any of you have ever been by that building, Dimensional Fund Advisors. That is the fund mapping. So I didn't challenge you guys this, but I often ask people, hey, what are you invested in? I'm always surprised when people tell me they don't know, or they can't remember, or if they do remember. So if you haven't looked at your account in a while, now might be a good idea to be able to go in there and say, hey, what am I invested in? Would now be a good opportunity to revisit that, or my investment strategy, risk tolerance, and so forth. So there you go. We will make sure that the remote office gets this information too. Probably we can just tear the page out and scan it and send it to them if we wanted to. Okay, we're going to move right along. We're going to jump to, for those who are following on the phone call, page 23 and 24, this is the plan highlights. Now, for those of you already in the plan, you already know most of this part. We're not going to rehash every detail, but we want to make sure you understand the principles, the bedrock of this plan. You are eligible to enroll with 21 years of age and 3 months of service. So if you happen to fall in that criteria, we'll make sure we'll get with your personnel, your team here, your team leads, to know when you're going to be eligible, when you can get into the plan. I'm going to focus on employee contributions there. You're going to see a range there in that first column that says 1 to 100%. 1 to 100%. I got to move this page here. Here we go. All right. Now we're there. Great. So right here it says 1 to 100% of what you can contribute from your paycheck. That's a very big range. So that's a huge range. You might as well just say 1 to infinity, right? I have a good little analogy here. On the Iowa Homegrown boy, anybody from the Midwest? Jim, I know you are from Wisconsin. Anybody else from the Midwest? Nobody else, everybody else is Texas born and raised? Where are you from? Originally, yeah. New Orleans. We got New Orleans. What else do we have? Oh, it's Tuesday morning. Who else do we have? Anybody else not from Texas originally? LA, California. Great. Glad to have you. Okay.
Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Hey, CR. All right. I was almost the co-hawk.
Connecticut.
Connecticut as well. Look at that. See, I found a fellow Iowan there on the phone call. I didn't know that was going to happen today. Hey, what am I driving at? So there's a little bit of a sports analogy. Now, if you don't come from Iowa, we don't have a pro team in Iowa. If you're a baseball fan, you have to affiliate with either the Twins, the Cardinals, or the Cubs, right? So here in Texas, you guys have your pick of the litter of what you guys want for pro teams. And so let's cover that now. I have a basic analogy to help guide you on your retirement journey of your employee contributions. So 4 to 6%, if you contribute 4 to 6% of your contributions, that kind of sets you up for the tailgating of retirement. So has anybody ever heard of this concept of tailgating? Right? It's not foreign to anybody here. So if you've ever been to one, you got some basic food staples, maybe a hot dog or two, maybe a hamburger off the grill, right? Probably not going to find a sirloin or filet mignon at a tailgating party, but you're going to find some chips and maybe some dip there too, right? So it sounds okay, right? Like a good Saturday afternoon. Probably have some friends there, maybe some basic festivities, some games, people you like, associate to be around, right? Now, if anybody went to college, those tailgating parties start from anywhere from 6 a.m. in the morning, go all the way up to kickoff, right? If you are happy and content with the tailgating of retirement, that probably lands you, if your average contribution is around 4 to 6%. You know, it's not going to be like completely enriched, but it's going to be something. It's going to be something. It's going to help you do the job. And anybody here ever been to a sporting event? You know, football game, right? Baseball game, hockey, soccer, whatever, you know. I once had a guy raise his hand like, hey, what about a Broadway musical? Like, sure. There's a seat there. It's some type of event. I wouldn't consider it a sporting event, but it's an event. So you got to have a seat, you know, sit down in. And I go, so whatever event you're attending to, if you want to be able to attend it, now you have to move and leave 4 to 6 behind and go to 7 to 11%. So 4 to 6% is like tailgating, 7 to 11%. Now you got a ticket for the game or your Broadway musical, like that gentleman had said. Did you have the best seat when you were there? Did you have the best seat for those who went? Could you have, from where you were sitting or standing, did you see where you'd like to have sat? Anybody? Right? Skybox, 50-yard line, center court, behind home plate, behind the home dugout, wherever it happens to be. If you want the preferred seat in retirement, you need to up your game. You got to leave that 7 to 11. You got to go from 12 to 15 now. So you got to take it in stages. Probably nobody can start off with their first job in life and start out immediately with 15%. It's a tall order to fill. But over time, have the game plan in mind to up your contributions. We're getting a lot of empirical data of those who are leaving the workforce and those who are by thousands weekly, anywhere from 7 to like 12,000 weekly. It's insane. It's a lot of people leaving the workforce, some capacity. And those who have coalesced what you would think is retirement, how they made it, how they did it, why are they comfortable? And part of that magic sauce is they up their contributions throughout their career. They kept some part of their subconscious still plugged into their long-term planning, and they're able to increase over time. So, and you kind of flip that coin, those who maybe didn't coalesce big enough nested like they would have wanted to, part of it is because their contribution rate was stagnant and didn't increase. So I want to throw that out there, a little conventional wisdom that we're finding in large part from the baby boomer generation. Okay, this plan allows you to do pre-tax and Roth. Now, before we launch into this, I do want to state that your contributions is the biggest influential variable on your retirement equation. The amount of money you're able to put in and increase that amount of money over time, that's going to be the biggest determinant of how big this nest egg can be. Or another way to say it is, we can't make any money off something we do not own, right? So we have to be able to own something, some of these investments, be able to get growth on these investments. So that's, the next conversation is all predicated on your contribution piece. That's the most important piece. Now we can talk about it, pre-tax and Roth. This is basically a way for you to answer the question, when do I want Uncle Sam to be a part of my retirement life? Do I want to pay Uncle Sam now, or do I want to pay him in retirement? You can pay your federal taxes now, that's Roth, or you can pay your federal taxes in retirement, That's pre-tax. So let's break it down. So if you make a pre-tax contribution, that amount comes off your gross paycheck. So the big part of your paycheck you wish you could take home before deductions, right? So now back in the old days, I'm old enough to remember from previous employers, they'd come around on payday and they'd hand me my check. So I could see that amount. I could see it, and I could see the line items off the stuff, right? Remember those days? And you take it to the bank, and you go to the teller. Yeah. I don't think hardly anybody works like that anymore, right? Most of it's direct deposit.
We're evolving.
Oh, you guys saw a check? Oh, you guys saw a check? Well, that is a very tangible process. Wow. Well, there is some tangibility around that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So this equation, this analogy and example will ring home then. So you could just see the line item on there, right? Everything that was taken out, right? Is that still on that pay stuff? Great. So you can also see the gross amount and the net amount. So your pre-tax contribution is taken off your gross amount. I'm surprised they didn't come out in the last session. So your gross amount, whatever that amount that is, your pre-tax contribution is calculated off that. 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. And so that contribution goes into your account not having paid. Uncle Sam, you have not paid him yet. Whatever it grows to, if 1,000 grows to 10,000 in retirement, the whole thing's taxable when you start drawing it out. The whole thing's taxable. You get a little 1099 from us, reminds you how much you took out to include with the rest of your income in retirement for that year. That is pre-tax, also known as traditional. That's been around since the dawn of 401ks in the late 70s. Okay, that's 401k. 401k, by the way, is just a line item in the tax legal code that was created in the 1970s to be able to allow for this provision where employers to allow employees to take part of their paycheck and allocate it towards the future in a nest egg like this. So that's all 401k means. So there you go. That is pre-tax. Paying Uncle Sam in retirement, not paying him now, and you get 26 paychecks a year. I call them financial opportunities. More on that later. Let's talk about Roth. Roth is another way to skin the cat. Roth is saying, hey, I want to pay you now, Uncle Sam. So if I pay you now, it comes off the net, or what you would have brought home. So it comes off what you would have brought home. And you put $1,000 in, it grows to $10,000. The contributions and the growth, all of it is tax-free. So you can pull out the whole 10 grand, you would not have to include it in your income in that tax year in the future when you retire. So they're complete opposites. You see where I'm going with this? You have the opportunity. It's a very flexible plan you have. You can do pre-tax, Roth, or you can do some combination. It's up to you. I challenge everybody to consider how do you want to interact with your money in retirement? To look, to taste, to feel. Do you want to incorporate some Roth? Do you want to go out pre-tax? There's a lot of variables at stake in retirement. I call the first set the known unknowns, which means that you may not know what tax brackets are going to be in the future when you retire. You may not know what your income is going to be going into retirement. So keep that in mind on this as well. Some people enjoy having some Roth money because if you take it out, you don't have to claim it as income. It's very black and white. It's very transactional. You take out, boom, it's done. Some people like pre-tax because what happens with our income sometimes when we're going into retirement, you're fully gainfully employed, working full time, and then you go hit retirement, you're not working anymore, so maybe your tax bracket could drop as your income drops. That's also a consideration as well. So you're taking your pre-tax contributions out, you're taking pre-tax distributions out, and you're paying at a lower tax bracket, your tax bracket lower. So there's different ways there. I just want you to keep that in mind. I really challenge you to think in the future, how do I want to interact with this money? Because if you retire and you live for another 2+ decades, that's the interaction you're going to have for that amount of time or longer. So keep that in mind. Did I make anybody's brain hurt so far? How are we doing, Rachel? You doing good? Taking notes over there? Okay. Question, yes?
Are we able to have a combination?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And which kind of leads into, you can do whatever combination you want. Remember, there's actually a dollar limit annually. You can do up to $18,500 this year, calendar year, for anybody under age 50. When you get age 50, the IRS allows you to put additional $6,000 in. That takes you up to $24,500 for the year. And these limits I'm talking about, they inherently go up because cost of living goes up over time. So to round out the discussion, you could do $10,000 in pre-tax and $8,500 in Roth if you want. It's like wherever you want. Yeah. Any other questions on this? This usually trips people up. So I know exactly where your head is, like which one should I be doing, right? Which one's better for me? So, anything else? Anybody on the phone? All right, let's talk about the match. As I was talked about earlier, very generous match. This often helps help people where they're going to start out with their contribution. So it's at the bottom of the second column here. We're going to walk through this formula here. They match dollar for dollar on the first 3%. You put in 1%, you get 1. You put in 2, you get 2. You put in 3, you get 3. You put in 4, you actually get a 0.5%. You put in 5, you get the other 0.5%. So quick math here. If you put in 5, you get how much?
4.
4, that's right. So if you want all the free money, you take all the free money off that table. In order to do so, 5 to get 4. 5 to get 4. If you put in 4, you're leaving a little bit of money, free money on the table. You're not taking advantage of all the free match. Just remember that. Now, if you only can start at 1, have a game plan in place. To walk up 1% every year to capture all that free money. So 5 to get 4. The other cool thing about this is those dollars, as they come into your account, your matched dollars from your employer, they're immediately yours. They're immediately yours. So if 3 years from now you get relocated to Iowa, and if you look me back up, I'll tell you all the cool places to eat. All the festivals and the seasonal stuff. You take your 401k account here. All of it you take with you. Your contributions and your employer contributions go with you, and you can roll it into your next 401k, for example. So immediate vested ownership, 100%.
Let me just say, don't leave.
Don't leave. Don't leave.
Please don't leave. Hang in there with us.
That's right. I was using an extreme example. Why would anybody leave Austin for Iowa, right? You laugh, but it's a humble state. We're good people. Okay. So we talked a lot about taking money out of the plan. We'll talk quickly about, this was brought up in the last session. Somebody asked me, hey, I have an old 401k, I have an old traditional IRA. What do I do with this thing? I get a statement every once in a while on it. You can actually put it into this account. And if you want to do that, I have this little card here. Anybody have an old account? This lady does. Hands are going up.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just have one with another company. I never rolled over.
There you
So
go,
you
yeah.
can do that.
At least, if you help me out, that'd be great. Thank you. So you open up that card, and on one side of it, we just need a name, cell phone, and email. And you tear it, and that comes back to me. I give it to somebody on my team. I call them, they're actually called the right team. I don't know why they got that name. But all they do is help people consolidate accounts. And I don't know if you've ever done a rollover before. It can be a little bit tedious and arduous. You got to get forms. You got to fill them out. You got to sign somewhere. You got to send them off in the mail. You got to hope they got there. Checks are flying in the mail back and forth. I'm dramatizing the process a little bit, but it can be a little bit tedious, a little bit time consuming. We've dedicated a team, and all we let them do is help you consolidate that old account into your current account. So I affectionately call them the Spec Ops team. I give them a cooler name.
Well,
They like that.
Part of the good news on that is you don't have to keep track of a bunch of old 401ks that are running around in other companies, and you're hoping you know where your money is. And I just personally have always moved it along with me, so I know where the heck my money is. And you'll see through Voya what it's doing.
So there you go. So for those who are watching me and listening to me, basically all we need is you could just give us an email and your full name if it doesn't already have it in the email. We'll make sure that team gets your information, help you consolidate the accounts. Any questions on that service? All right, let's keep the string going, huh? All right, we've covered plan highlights. Let's cover a little bit. Actually, let's round out the plan highlights. We're not quite done. We've talked quite a bit up to this point about putting money in. Let's talk about taking money out. The plan has what's called a hardship withdrawal provision. So this is if you're facing some type of some dire circumstances financially. And it's based off certain criteria that the IRS gives guidelines on. Let's cover those together. So eviction, foreclosure, medical expenses, loss of property due to casualty, post-secondary education like college. All those are criteria the IRS allows you to do what? To pull out your contributions. So if you have a dental bill that's $300 and you have no other way to pay it, and they're saying, hey, we're going to send this thing to collections if you don't pay it, and you have $300 in your 401k that you contributed, theoretically, you could pull out your $300 in contributions to pay that medical bill. You just keep your most recent copy of that medical bill, or your documentation, and send it in to us to get approved for that distribution. So it's a taxable distribution, hardship withdrawal. There's a 45-second high-level executive summary on what a hardship withdrawal is. Any questions on how that works, or kind of what's available to you?
The only money available is what you put in there.
Employee contributions. Employee contributions. Good. All right. We are going to keep going. I want to talk a little about the investments, and this will start on the fund performance page, which is 45 in the book, and then if you're following, it is 45 on here. So let's go ahead and go to here. Let's do this. Great. Okay. This often trips people up. What should I invest in? We've been in a 9.5-year market expansion since the bottom of the last bear market, which hit a bottom around March of 2009. It's hard to think that we've come this far, almost 10 years later. We've been in a big rally. So this is capitalism. 80% of all new businesses that start today will have failed in 5 years. And as a result, having the emotional fortitude to weather all storms through all market time is really tough to do. So we have very good options to pick from, depending on how much you want to take on as far as responsibility and maintenance. Let's get into them. This list goes from most conservative, which is the fixed account, which gains like a 4 of 1%, and it goes to most aggressive on the next page, which is international. I'm going to start this by talking about the life cycle funds, which is under asset allocation. You'll notice that these funds go in 5-year increments. If you flip the page, they continue on to page 46 as well. What are these things? Okay, let's talk about this. These are target date funds. They end in the year because they're targeting the year of your retirement. If you do not want to be hands-on with your investments, if you don't want to rebalance or have to make fund changes or reduce tolerance of your risk, take a hard look at volatility, if that's not you, if you don't want to have that much skin in the game, perfectly fine. You can pick one of these targeted funds. You just pick the year closest to when you'd want to retire. So somebody born in, say, 1981 would pick the 2045 fund. That would be when somebody born in 81, they'd hit, if anybody was born, you don't have to tell me you're born in 81 or not, but if you were born in 81, in 2045, you're going to be about 65 years old, which is kind of the quote-unquote age of retirement now, right? But who knows what it'll be in 2045. 70 could be the quote-unquote age of retirement, right? I don't know. That can happen in 30, 40 years. This fund, there's absolutely no maintenance. If the market's up, the market's down, there's nothing you have to do. There's no scratching of the head, restless nights, losing sleep, something crazy going on in the market, bull market, bear market. What do these animals mean with the market? We can get to that later. You don't do anything. You just put money in the thing, and it automatically reduces risk on your behalf over the years. It dials down the risk. Starts out aggressive, then it goes more conservative as you get closer to that year, because you're getting closer to using the money. So it's trying to protect more of what you accumulate. Okay. So that is at face value what a target date fund is. Inside it, if you pop the hood on it, it has a little bit of everything. It has international stocks and exposure. It has U.S. stocks, large, medium, and small companies. It has bonds and other conservative instruments. So it's all jam-packed into one fund. And a manager and a team at Vanguard, they just reduce the risk on a set glide path on your behalf. So there you go. I will tell you this. For somebody who's kind of new to investing, it's like your first rodeo with 401ks, a targeted fund's a great place to start. Great place to start. And one of the things I like about the targeted funds is it protects you from who? You. That's right. So this is actually very important, because what we found is that we're kind of creatures of habit. We tend to, there's a lot of behavioral science to working with personal finance. And what we've come to find out since the late 70s, we've done 401ks, is that we tend to make irrational decisions when we're riding and dying on emotions. Right? So when we're feeling strong emotions of anxiety or fear, or even happiness too, we tend to make some crazy decisions with our money. And what a targeted fund is, it's objectively looking at all the hard numbers historically and said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go, this is how we're going to glide down. We're just going to keep you invested when you should be invested. We're not going to willy-nilly buy and sell. So that's what the nice thing about a targeted fund. It protects you from you. It's also good to talk about it too, because since we have been in a 9.5-year bull market, more than likely we've seen some revenues where it's coming to an end with recent market volatility. What do we know? Markets don't always go up in a 45-degree angle. We know that there's going to be some correction. That's why it's capitalism. And bear markets, when the market goes down, tend to slide faster than bull markets expand. So that's in part why there's a lot of emotion attached to it, because there's usually a sell-off in a faster degree actually when there's buying. I'll get back to the animals. That's kind of like people don't understand this. So does anybody know why they call it bull and bear markets? Does anybody know why? Gary, if you know, just don't say anything. So, but there's a reason why they call it bull and bear market. Let's start with the bull. We got Vivo 14, right? The 14th iteration, the Vivo. Okay, so a bull, how it attacks, it's down, and with its horns, it goes up, right? Right? We know this, okay? It makes sense, right? So it goes down, it kind of crouches down, and it goes up with its horns. A bear gets up on its back legs and pounces down. So that's why they call it a bull and a bear market, because of how the animal attacks. There you go. I'm going to learn something today. Good, huh? All right. Now, if you want some skin in the game, if you want to take on the responsibility and you want to become a mutual fund ninja, I'm not there yet, and I can't claim to be one. I'm not like a green belt or an orange belt, whatever that first belt is. You can take on that responsibility, and you can pick whatever funds you want here. Go out and pick your international, large, mid, small, bond fund, and just remember that. Make sure you're leveraging local resources like Jared here to help walk with you. If you got questions on risk tolerance and volatility, making sure you're taking advantage of that. Because if not, if you pick your funds individually and you kind of leave it untouched for several years, it's going to grow. It's going to grow. It's kind of like a garden unguarded. It gets really weird real quick, right? And you could be over leverage on risk or not as diversified as you need to be. It does need a little bit of TLC to kind of keep it going. So just remember that. All right. Just to point out, starting on page 50 in the book, every fund has its own page. So there's the Baird Core Plus Bond Fund. Every fund has its page. You want to learn a little bit about each fund or see how much is in the market or how much it's conservative, you can see a little bit more about that. I'm going to cover 2 more pages, then we'll jump into the demo. So we have, let's cover, for those who are not enrolled yet, let me show you what that's going to look like. Page 13. Page 13 is the enrollment page. Page 13. We'll get there. There we go. Good. Okay. So if you need to enroll and you come up on eligibility, we want to make it as easy as possible for you. So you can call us or you can go online. And both touch points are there, the phone number as well as enrollment URL. Now you are going to need your plan number and your verification number. So that's that 81A as an alpha 765 number, as well as the verification number. You just add a 99 to it. And it helps identify this plan in our family book of business. So just remember that. I'll just jump into it real quick because it won't take about like a minute and a half to show the website, the wrong website, what we did earlier. Let's see if I can get up there. Let's go enroll. And let's go to the beginning. Song. Slash, I can't remember. So it takes the beginning. Yeah, it does. So that's where you would go and put a plan number and a verification number on to help identify this 401k plan. Hit let's go. Make sure you key in any demographic information like your name. Make sure it's spelled right if it's already in there. We're going to keep going. And let's just load it. Here it goes. All right. It will ask you for a cell phone and an email. That's important too. That'll help you associate to your account. So if you ever get locked out, you will be able to get back in. Okay. We want you to start with the end in mind. Zig Ziglar, I think he's famous Texan. What does he say? He says, if you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. Right? That kind of makes sense, right? If I'm not aiming at something, I'm not I'm not gonna really hit anything, right? That makes sense. It's kind of good. It's good conventional wisdom, good best practice there. At enrollment, we want you to think about the end game. When would you like to retire? How much have you already saved? How much replacement of income do you want? Ooh, that's a good question. What does that mean? So at Voya and across the record keeping industry for 401ks, we say whatever you're making today, 2018, shoot for a number. The bare minimum we say is 70% of what you're making. So 50,000 would be 35, 100 would be 70. That's the minimum you want to be able to have going that first year of retirement. So if somebody's making $50,000 in the last year when they're working full time, the first year of retirement should have at least 35,000 per annum. But you can change it to whatever you want. We're going to continue. This is the meat and potatoes of the enrollment. How much do you want to contribute? Where do you want to invest? We defaulted to pre-tax, but you can easily change it. You got some minus and plus signs here. You can toggle back and forth. The view savings options allows you to get to the Roth option as well. You can slide that around. Not everything's live on the demo. So go back. Get it to where you want it. This orange dollar right here, that's actually foreshadowing what we're going to see on the participant website. So it's going to give you a chance to see how much you could have in retirement monthly. Your investments. If you click on the Guide Me, it will bring up the target date list. There'll be some language under the year, which is corresponding to your date of birth. You can pick whatever one you want. You can go ahead and pick individual investments. Remember, your contributions and your investments, you essentially can change them at any time. This is just to get you started. We just want to get the thing started. So it's like the demo right there was born probably about mid-80s. I say go with these choices. Once I'm done, you can elect your beneficiaries now or later. This is an auto rate escalator. Remember what I was talking about earlier, like part of what people who've coalesced a comfortable retirement, what did they do that was so special? They increased their contributions over time, right? So we realized that we want to give you the opportunity to do the same. So if you want, you can put it on autopilot. I want to go up 1% every year to a ceiling of 10. We'll give you the opportunity to do that. Reconfirm your investment choices, your beneficiaries. We got John Voya, that's quite the last name. Look at that, huh? John Voya, born September 9th, 1980. It's exciting. You check the box, you hit enroll now. It'll say your name, way to go, Sarah, and a confirmation number. You see this screen, you are enrolled. Your personnel team, your HR leads, they will get this information. They'll make sure it gets into payroll to get your contributions up and going. Okay.
But you hit two big points that came up this morning too. One, you can change the amount you contribute whenever you want to. 5%, you can go to 8%, you can go to 6%, that's up to you. It doesn't make a lot of sense to do that because you're going to start wrapping your budget and what you spend every week on food and such as part of a certain number, right? But you can. You can also change, just as Mario was saying, your investments. You want to go high risk, you want to go low risk, you want to go 2025 for retirement versus 2040. You can do that whenever you want. It's your money. And that's the great thing about Voya's website is you see your money, you know how it's working, you know what it's earning, and you can make changes in it. Does that make sense? And you're going to have Jared and the team at Higginbotham to also help you with understanding the plans, spending a little more time on those. So there's lots of good consulting once you're in. The key thing here is once your money's in, you can see it all the time. And that was one thing that was important to us. Does that make sense? Okay.
How are you doing? Good? Yeah. Is it Tuesday still? It's Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so make sure. I spent 6.5 hours in the car yesterday, so sometimes like I got to catch up. Anybody been out to Beeville, Texas before? You from there?
I have family there.
Oh, yeah. I probably saw them.
Yeah,
No, it's still up.
they have their own little street and everything. They're crazy.
Yeah.
They really do.
Hey, you gotta see those people.
Just middle. Small.
Next time I'm down there, like, hey, you got people that work up at Capitol Hill?
Oh, no, my dad, not me.
So let's cover the participant website. So that site we just covered, you only touch it to do what? To enroll. That's right. Once you're enrolled, you never have to go back to it. But more than likely, you're going to want to see your balance, right? How am I doing? You know, turning zeros into, I don't know, yeah, commas, double comma club. That's right. If you're a millionaire, it's the double comma club. That's right. Go ahead, Mel.
So if we're enrolled in 401k, do we get to go and, because that website was a lot
more informative of choosing options
Sure.
than ours. So what, will we have an option to switch up some of the stuff?
And you already
Or-
have an account, right? Or are you enrolled
I was
now?
enrolled in the previous
So you have
one,
a balance. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm going to show you where to do
Okay.
all those changes on this
and we
one.
can still change it. Okay.
That's right. So the very last page, the peachy page, is the ongoing where you see your account, ongoing to reach a call center rep, ongoing the mobile app. So this is, I always thought this kind of looked like Martin Short a little bit, this guy. Maybe it's Martin Short's cousin or something. Right, you see a little bit, right? Remember Martin Short?
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, let's talk about this. Register now. If I click on that, you will be mailed a pin in the mail. It's a nondescript envelope. It's perforated. You tear it open. It's a 6-digit number. I think it's 6 figures. There we go. And then you go here to this drop down. I've already selected a social security and PIN. You pop that information in. It allows you to register.
Do you have to have the PIN to start your account?
We want you to have the PIN. You can try the other way, but I can't promise you it's going to get you in. It's the social security and date of birth. It will ask you LexisNexis questions like the street your best friend lived on in first grade, or the blood type of your first boyfriend or something like that. I don't know what it asks you. You better know that information though. It gets pretty personal.
We're already being mailed that pin?
Yes, you are being mailed a PIN. And also, since we're at the same screen, I go back to it. There we go. You can request a PIN. It's encouraged to get the PIN. This is important to just as a little footnote. If you ever want to do a transaction, like take money out like a hardship withdrawal by phone, we're going to require you have that PIN number. You can always go online and do it, right? But if you want to do it by phone, we would require a 6-digit number to be able to take money out of your account to protect you, so that only you are taking money out.
And both of these are mobile, right?
So,
Enroll on this.
yeah, so the enrollment website, you can actually enroll on your phone. So if those who are not enrolled, it's mobile friendly, the website is. This website that I'm going to get into, there's also a mobile app, but the keynote and distinction is you have to register at the website first, then take those credentials and go get the mobile app. You can't get the app first, then get the website. So, I guess it's a security measure. Well, I'm done talking it up. Let's just show the thing, right? Let's just dive into it. This little circle here. All right, let's get into it. There's going to be a little bit of a pop-up box. This information just to confirm your age, how much you're making, how you feel about retirement, and what this will do is it'll make sure the technology that you're going to touch is actually accurate. We want it to be accurate for you. So there's a lot of build-up here. Looks like it's going to show you the website, and then boom, a little pop-up one. Isn't that interesting? All right, let's go here. So age, salary, and then how you feel about retirement. There's no write-in, so you got to get as close to how you feel. Apparently, the shades of emotions at Voya is only like 8 deep. So let's just say, happy at the moment. We're having a good time. All right, this is the cornerstone of our website. We probably went from middle of the pack 7 years ago to being a leader and an innovator with having an engaging website. There's a lot of intangibility to this retirement thing. Everything else that you buy in life, you can take it home with you. You want new shoes, you want new eyewear, you walk out with those shoes and that new eyewear. This thing, we're telling you to put money into it, and you're not going to use it till like decades down the road. It's kind of a crazy concept, right? But it's a double-edged sword, because now we can pay ourselves first. We can be a better you, like our mantra is on the front of that book, be good to yourself. What this is showing to us is that the more color on George, the more on track we are with our retirement. It's like an anchor point, it's like a trending point. If there's any white space, we're not quite hitting our goal. So if you click on the About Me, you're going to see that the default's set to 70. Change it to whatever you want. I had a guy, I think he was probably about 21, in a meeting about a month ago. And I had heard some pretty big numbers before, but he wanted to go, I want to make 150% of more what I'm making now. I'm like, okay, who am I to bridle this young man's enthusiasm for his retirement journey? So I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens. And I put 150 in there. It saved it, and I'm like, it actually took it. So there you go. I don't know how far it goes, but you feel free to fool around with it if you want. No, I think the person in the demo is probably like mid to late 40s. So we'll just, I guess it goes back to 70. Just make sure it does. Let's see here. There you go, going back to 70, good. But you can personalize it. You can personalize your journey. All right. If you click view details, we realize your 401k is probably not your only nest egg. It actually shows you other nest eggs you're growing. So maybe you have an outside IRA. Maybe your spouse has a 401k. You can add in more color to George by doing so. You can take out Social Security. You can leave in Social Security. How do you do that? You click the drop down, Social Security. There's an overlay here. Right now the box is checked, but I can easily uncheck it and save it. Okay. And that's just a little bit about what this overlay can do on Social Security. A lot of people, what's the most often asked question with Social Security? You know what it is? When should I take it? Right? What should I wait a year? How much more would I get if I waited a year? Right? So this kind of, you can kind of peruse through those options. So if you have other nest eggs you want to add into George, we have 2 links. All you need to tell us is what the balance is and how much you're putting in, and we'll put more color on. All of the My Orange Money experience that I'm showing right now is available on the mobile app as well. So if you just want to, you just got some time to kill, you want to pop into that app, by all means. Okay, how we do it? Let's press pause on this. Any questions on this tool? Does it seem like something you'd look at? You guys just dying to know how much white space you have, right? Our hope is that you kind of get somewhat competitive with yourself, right? Got some sliders out here to the right. This is where I'll finish this part of the presentation off. In real time, you can say, hey, if I go from 3 to 6 or 3 to 7, how much does it close it? And you'll show, like this, in this case, went from 1,000 to about 400. This will hopefully nudge you in the right direction where you already want to go. You know you probably want to put more in, but just by seeing the numbers, how much more you can have, how much more you're on target, will get you over there. And that's what we're seeing with the tool. You might come to the site thinking, oh, I'm just going to go from 3 to 4. You're like, well, I'm going from 3 to 5. It's worth it. All right, the other slider is age of retirement and assumed investment return. Those are other key variables when you tap these nest eggs. The last variable I will say, we leave it at 6% in the demo, and also on your website when you look on it. Why would we do that? It goes from 1 to 12. I think I had that same guy ask me, what if it's 13%? I'm like, jeez, this guy's killing me. He wants 150% of what he's making now. He wants 13% growth. It's like, he's not helping me very much here.
He's nothing graduated from college.
Yeah.
So we defaulted at 6 because that's like a moderate return. Historically, over the last century, the market's averaged between 8 and 10%. But conceivably, you could say I'm a little bit more risk averse, so I want to go 3 or 4 or 5%, or you can say take a little more risk on and go to 7, 8%. For most people, they just leave it at 6. They just leave it at 6. Well, I promise you, there's more to this site than this orange dollar. Like, that's all I've talked about on the site for the last 10 minutes here. But everything else is still here. All the usual suspects, your balance, your rate of return. You can see your investments broken out in a pie chart. That's fun. Okay, and also by money source. You won't have as many money sources. You'll see your money and the employer match dollars here as well.
Question.
Balance return.
So since we're all new to the funds, are we going to be having to wait for about a quarter to see some of the results on our funds?
Oh, interesting. Good question. So you're going to see your balancer immediately, right? And you will get your first, as we just went live, you will get your first Voya statement mid-January. However, you can go up here under your rate of return. If I can, this mouse is a little bit delicate for me, a little bit speedy. I can click on view more time periods. So you can get an early look, a glimpse of how you were doing. Yeah. This will tell you what you've done the last month or customize the time period.
Okay.
Which brings me to another point. Good point, Rachel. I just need to talk about something. All of the correspondence from Voya will typically be electronic delivery unless you tell us you want it to be mailed. We do that again because we really want to make sure that your eyes only see your stuff. I can't emphasize that enough. I think it was my first summer at Cedar Park and I was mowing. They call me Gran Torino up there in Cedar Park because I have a manual lawnmower. You ever seen that movie? It's a manual lawnmower. It's a good movie. Check it out. Anyway, so I'm mowing my lawn. I got my buds in, listening to my tunes, sweating, trying to get this thing done. And this guy I met one time comes walking over to my yard. I'm like, okay, what's his name? What's his name? Is it Jerry or Barry or Gary? It's like some type of area in there. I guessed right. I think it was Barry. I'm like, hey, how's it going, Mary? He goes, oh, I got your mail. we had one of those community mailboxes. The person inadvertently we're right next to each other, our mailboxes. I found that out. Put my mail in his mailbox. And he happened, one of those pieces of items was my 401k statement. So I was like, well, that's enough to tell me I probably should go e-delivery. So that's what I did. I went on here under my profile in the top right-hand corner, and I just switched my preferences to all e-delivery. I'll show you the path here. So I'm not sure if they call me Gran Torino or I've just talked that movie up so much, they don't remember my name, but they remember the movie. That could be it too. So, paperless or mail options. And then you click on edit. All right, and then we go down here, and there's gonna be some bubbles. This is all very exciting. You can tell us what you want by mail and what you want by online delivery. Right, fun, huh? Is this fun? This is fun, right? We're clicking bubbles. All right, let's keep going. Under statements and documents, this is where your statements will go, so if you want to look at one. And since we have conveniently built this demo out enough, you get to see what one kind of looks like. Let's see what this guy's name is. Oh, Chris Smith on One Orange Way, Anytown, New York. Good. And that's what one looks like. There you go. Good times right there. You can print it off or just close out the window or email it to somebody. They're there for your viewing pleasure on your personal finances. All right, let's see if I can get back to the site. Well, that's not the right one. Let's go back. Over here we go. Beneficiary information. Under personal, we have beneficiary stuff here. One thing we do not get when a plan comes over to us, and you already have an account somewhere else, we don't get your beneficiary information. Now, if it's still tracked locally, you got it in the drawer, it's still legally viable. But we encourage everybody here in the room and also on the phone to be able to go on and update it. A lot can happen in 12 months. Married and kids and new family members. I encourage everybody to extend beyond their primaries, add contingents. That's also a good thing too to do. So.
We just went through open enrollment, so most of you guys have that information in iSolved if you don't remember. If you go to your employee contacts, you can just pull the contacts listed in there and you should be able to have their social, date of birth, and any other information you need.
I saw. Let's do it. Yeah. It's already there. I like it. Okay. Under the word account, you can do transactional stuff. So obviously on the My Orange Money Experience, you can change your contribution by hitting the Make Change Now button or even on the mobile app. But you have your whole menu here of stuff you want to make an investment transfer? Do it. You want to change your elections? Get after it. You want to rebalance? Set her up. You can do automatic rebalancing. You can set up an auto rate escalator. It's all here. You want to inquire about a hardship withdrawal? It's all under this account link right here. Okay? Good. I'll press pause again. Anything you want to see that I haven't already pointed out yet? How are you guys feeling about this? Feeling good? Right? Okay. Any questions on the phone line? Okay.
So just to emphasize, this is an important tab for us. This is where you get in and manage your money. Move accounts, change percentages, all that kind of good stuff. So it's an important tab.
Okay. Okay. Now, I didn't cover this in the last meeting, but it's probably worth to cover. It would be disingenuous to have a 401k meeting and only talk about 401k. What am I talking about here? Well, there's so much more going on in your life than a 401k account. And so we realize that at Voya, we got to look at you comprehensively. All the variables that are moving on the chessboard with your financial life. So we have a thing called financial wellness. And when we do this, it is an assessment. It will take into consideration all those moving variables. So you can click Get Started. Basically, if it's an orange button, you can click on it. I got some cool motion clip art here. So some basic questions. It won't take you 4 hours to find out how you're doing financially, I promise. We've zeroed it down to the core essentials. All right, what else we got? A person with some money in his hand. Okay, we got a little think blot with some money. We're going to get to my favorite. It's at the end. It's not the heart with the hand in it. And a little wallet with some money coming out of it. Oh, which, by the way, do you know why all the money is not green? Orange money is for saving. Saving, and green money is for spending. Yeah, you got it. So we've sprinkled that branding throughout our assessment, apparently. And let's keep going. Oh, little vault. You think that would be my favorite one. That's kind of cool, right? A little vault door opens up, there's money in there. That's cute. No, that is not my favorite. That was not my favorite. No, nobody wants to get one of those. That was my favorite. The little piggy bank with the coins going into it. That always put a smile on my face. So, and then you gotta go to the website. Just check out a little piggy, right? That's why, because you got the little curl tail. Speaking of pigs, when I was driving back from Beeville, you probably know this. Someone had hit a boar. Someone had hit a boar, and I thought it was a dog, but it was in the side ditch. And it was up like this on its back. I could see its snout. It was black. It was black. It was probably about this long. I'm like, someone hit a boar. There you go. That was fun.
Wow.
It's scary.
Oh, Mormon.
You're right. There's wild pigs out there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not
And then you click see my results.
Oh, you'll chase these. They'll chase
Yeah,
these.
just
they
by
will.
one.
You don't want to be chased by a
Like
wild
16.
boar.
So
No,
scary.
they're quick.
Scary
Those
stuff.
little legs. And you can hear them breathing behind you. They do. They're quick.
They're angry.
They're quick.
They are.
Okay, so just to round out what we're talking about here, this financial
My
wellness
grandma's
thing.
pit bull sound like one of them.
It is a stoplight approach, so green, yellow, red. Green, you're doing well. Yellow, look at it, but red, really look at it. And then you can take the next step and all this other cool stuff and see score details. Look at that. Bring back the orange dollar. How about this?
And we talked about the mint thing, but.
We did talk about the mint thing. Yeah, there's a lot of tech on here. Let's see if I get back to all that. Let me go back to home. I think what we tried to do is put way more tech than anybody would ever, one person would use. But since we don't know how crazy you're going to get about it, we got to give you more meal than what you would ever eat. I think that's how we looked at it. And Rachel reminded me that we have a thing called, oh, I got to put that motion. I'm feeling confident now. I was happy 10 minutes earlier. Now I'm confident. I'm going to go to
Does that always pop up? Or like once
just
you
the
pick
one
it
time.
once?
Just the
Okay.
one time, yeah. But technically, like a mood ring, maybe your emotion changed in the last 10 minutes. So, what am I looking at? What are we going to look at together? This is called Personal Financial Dashboard. Now, if you get this far into the weeds on the website, kudos to you. I mean, you're really going to move some mountains on your personal finances. So, what this does is you can look at your whole financial life, or the core of it, on one page. You can link accounts to it, checking, savings, credit cards, your mortgage. You can see your net worth over time. You can see your investments. You can pull a report from this, look at dependents, set up a budget, categorize your spending. Bam, it's all there. So
Does anyone use Mint?
Yeah, I was gonna
This is
ask,
like-
is it like it or do y'all link
there's
together?
no link.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so it's like its own, I mean, that's still cool.
I religiously used Mint for like 5 years. I had like a lot of data in there. And I could see historically what I spent on groceries in October of 2009 or whatever it was, compared to like 5 years later. Like, this is great. You know, of course, obviously numbers speak to me. And then I was like, I got to cut cold turkey. I got too involved into it. You know,
Yeah,
but I like
it's easy.
because you could see when we were in debt.
That would be me.
And we were getting out of debt, we were like finally in the black, like, oh my God, what's the big deal? Like screenshot, you know, like print it out,
Oh,
laminate it, you know, put it behind my office, everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's really easy to get.
So whatever you use, keep
Yeah.
using it. Keep using it. Yeah. Most people never track the minutia of their life financially, and they wake up later and they're like, oh, what happened? Okay. We've covered a lot. Let's stop and pause and take any questions that you all might have.
Can you go in anytime and change it? Because my experience is you can only update or change once a year.
Contributions or investments?
Both, I mean, just kind of go in and change, once you're open enrollment, I mean, something like this, you can go in and change it anytime.
Yes, 401k is a lot more flexible with employers. So unlike health insurance or dental vision, where it's like usually one time a year, 401k, you can change your contribution and your investments throughout the year when you want to. Yeah. I mean, I would say like, if you know payroll's in the can on a Tuesday by noon, I wouldn't send them to you by 11 and say, like, can you change it from 3 to 4? It'll probably hit me on the next one. But you just say within one pay periods.
So she brought up a point. I think because on our alt 401k, you can only change it once your investments, once a quarter. Can you change your investments at any time?
Yeah, yeah, go crazy. I mean, don't go too
No.
crazy.
No, don't go too crazy.
Go a measured level of crazy. Okay, so. There is an excessive trading policy in the back of this book somewhere. Like, it tells you how many times you actually, what's the limit. And then you have to send in your trade. If it's on 85, which is quite a few trades. And with mutual fund, this is the tortoise approach. You don't want to like invoke the hare philosophy to your retirement journey with mutual funds, but buying and selling all the time. That's completely chaotic. You want to have a large degree of stability to your portfolio. But if you want to look at that, it's quite a few trades. Most people never hit it. In my 11 plus years, only one person has ever been on the excessive trading policy. I ever met it. So. All right.
Same guy, the
Same guy that
21-year-old
won
guy?
No, it was actually like a CFO actually, yeah. And he didn't like the fact that he had to submit his trades by paper, you know. But you still get to submit them. You just have to do what's right amount. Okay, well, if you have any of those for the outside accounts, if you want to tear it and give it back to me, I'm happy to take that and give it to that team. And then we'll be here afterwards. You have Jared here who works. Has even more seasoned knowledge, work individually with people. You can talk to individually with sensitive stuff.
Just kind of a summary, guys. If you want to think about the pages you want to look at again, I would say look at these. Page 13, page 21, page 25, page 45, and all the way back to the peach. 13, 21, 25, 45, and the peach, which is the back hard cover. Those will give you the best reshots of what we've talked about today. And then if you've got other questions, we've got Jared at Higginbotham. We've got the 1-800 number here to call and such for more detail on that. But those are good summary pages to keep in mind. Nothing